Hello and welcome back to ALECtv. I'm your host, Matt Fisher, and joining me now is Klair White, CFO of the Lake Restoration Solutions. Klair, welcome to ALECtv. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. Now, let's kick things off by talking about your organization, Lake Restoration Solutions.
So Lake Restoration Solutions is the private sector partner to the state of Utah for the delivery of the Utah Lake Restoration Project. This is a $6 billion project.
Wow.
Yes, billions, not millions.
With a B.
We can't get that, as a CFO, I cannot get that decimal point in the wrong place. But this is a water supply, quality, and infrastructure endeavor to effectively reverse over 150 years of ecosystem degradation at Utah Lake. Like many big lakes in the US, Utah Lake is currently effectively unusable. It is plagued with toxic algal bloom and turbidity that is making it not only environmentally unstable, but also dangerous. We plan to restore the lake back to its former glory for the beneficial use of the public, both from within Utah and outside of Utah. We plan to do that by dredging the lake over multiple phases, and this will effectively deepen the lake. We will achieve this restoration through the phased dredging of the lake to remove the nutrient-loaded sediments that are feeding this toxic algal bloom. That dredge material will then be used for beneficial uses, such as wetland restoration, beach and shoreline renewal, and island creation. And these strategically engineered islands, around 36 in total, some large, some small, they will only take up around 20% of the lake's surface area. But these islands will help to store and sequester that nutrient-loaded sediment, kind of keep it in one place and keep it safe from leaking back out into the lake. But it will also help to reduce evaporation of the lake by around half. So that will significantly increase the water supply. We will increase the storage capacity of the lake by around 40%.
Wow.
We will help to control wind and wave action, which has unfortunately caused a number of fatalities on the lake in recent years, and just generally restore the aquatic and ecosystem of the lake, including native species relating to fish, birds, and other wildlife.
It's so inspiring to hear how, humanity, the damage we've done to the environment, at the best of humanity's innovations can now help heal the environment. So tell us about the Lake Restorations project they're doing right now. It's a public-private initiative. Can you tell our audience a little bit about that? I'm sure they'll be interested.
Yes, this is actually one of Utah's first, but certainly its largest and, from my perspective, most exciting public-private partnerships. Public-private partnerships have been used around the world, and before I joined the project, I worked for 15 years on large infrastructure public-private partnerships in the US, UK, and globally. It's a relatively new concept in the US, but is increasingly being shown to deliver big infrastructure projects more efficiently, more cost effectively, and critically not tying up public dollars that need to go in many different directions or not causing debt capacity constraints. So an effective public-private partnership effectively allocates the risk of project delivery and project financing to the party best able to manage it. And in many instances, in a world of scarce resources and scarce funding, that is the private sector. So it's about the appropriate allocation of risks, and it is about the private sector only being compensated for delivery of that project if it performs, if it meets expectations or overperforms. This, as I mentioned, is one of the first and largest public-private partnerships in Utah. And the state, the main contribution of the state has been to enable very critical legislation that effectively transfers the land created through the dredging process to Lake Restoration Solutions, who in return will manage every other aspect of the project, raising the financing, doing the work, keeping everything on track to deliver these significant environmental benefits in the first instance, but also as these islands are developed for public and private use, it will bring a plethora of other socioeconomic benefits in the long term that will generate the revenues that will in turn repay the project cost. And so it's that business model, this innovative, unique business model that brings the best of the public and the private sector together that will enable this project to be successful. This is a project that the state has wanted to do for a long time. The issues on the lake are not new, but it just did not have the money and the resources to do it. And so the patented technology that Lake Restoration Solutions has, I need to get my own company correct, as well as this kind of business model and this approach to raising the financing is what is going to enable this project to actually get done.
It's so inspiring to see what's happening here, the idea of helping not only repair the environment, but also helping create jobs, opportunities, and whatnot through collaboration, not necessarily consternation or division between the public and private sectors. It's so encouraging to hear that, especially in light of the challenges we face as a country and a world going forward in the 21st century. So for our listeners and our watchers at home and on YouTube, what can you tell us about how they can get involved with the Lake Restoration Project? Solutions, excuse me.
So yes, so we, until this point, obviously the focus has been on making sure that this is a credible project, both technically, financially, commercially, and that partnership with the state is solid. And the support that we have from our legislature is fantastic. Everyone is supporting that this is a project that is going to deliver significant public benefits. We are just about to really commence on our public outreach. We are still several years away from being on the lake and dredging, but there's a lot of pre-construction work going on. We need to get certain permits, but we want the public to really be engaged early on, to be part of this journey, to understand what is happening on their lake. There's a lot of communities that will be impacted by this, largely for the better. And so how the public can get involved is to just kind of keep monitoring the progress, to kind of show their support. If there are genuine concerns or issues, kind of voicing them early on so that they can be addressed and factored into the project planning and the project delivery. So we still have 18 months to 2 years of permitting and planning, and this is our opportunity to really engage with the communities and groups and stakeholders that will be impacted and or will benefit from the project, and we want to include them in that journey with us before we commence construction.
So the groundwork has been laid and it's going forward.
Yes, we are currently on the lake doing a lot of very critical environmental studies. So we just completed the lake bed study to really understand the materials that are going to form these islands. There's ongoing studies with our engineering partners. Obviously, the permitting, the dredging permit, we are having to provide a lot of information on the technical solution. So all of that work is very critical, understanding the lake, understanding what these islands will look like and be composed of. Obviously here in Utah and elsewhere, earthquake resilience is very important. So all of these things we're thinking through to make sure that this project is technically, financially sound, both in the near term and the long term.
Well, I think this is going to be a great success for Utah and the rest of America. Klair, thank you for joining us here today at ALECtv.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you for listeners for joining us today here on YouTube and beyond. I'm Matt Fisher, and be sure to stay tuned for our annual meeting here in Salt Lake City.